Speaking of cohesion and logic, let's talk about Morbius.
Yes.
Boy, was that a movie?
Spoiler or non-spoiler?
You know what?
Non-spoiler.
Let's non-spoiler because actually, yeah, let's non-spoiler because we can.
Oh, but I really wanted to talk about the credit scenes.
So, we'll get to that in a moment. We'll give the spoiler warning in a moment. But general takes are as follows. I'll let Danny take this one first because I think he's the nicest out of all of us.
I don't think it's as bad as the Rotten Tomato score at a 16.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
Well,
it went down from a 17
the audience
to a
score is
audience score. Or
it's
the
like
critic
70
score?
or something like that.
Audience score is at like a 60.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Better
that
than
makes more sense.
15%.
I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah. somewhere in the middle.
So between 60 and 16.
So
It's a big-
30.
it's a big range.
That's a range.
I don't know.
That's a
I
reach.
think they tried to put too much into the movie.
Too much. They didn't put enough. It was an hour and a half.
No, I'm saying like they forced.
No,
too
it was like
much
an hour and
stuff
50
out.
something
Hour
minutes.
45.
It was an hour
Close
and
enough.
48.
It wasn't 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, how much of a character arc are you going to have in 2 hours for a guy who's basically waffling between do I be a good guy or a bad guy?
True.
Because that's really like the main the main conflict that the character has is, all right, cool, I'm cured, but hey, I got this one draw back, the really bad end of the deal. It's like a monkey's paw kind of thing where, oh no, now I have to nourish myself off of human blood. But I to Danny's point, yeah, like it's not great, but it's not a dumpster fire of a movie, and maybe that's its biggest crime. Maybe it should have been a hot dumpster fire, but it's hard to say, man, because like the first two acts were pretty cohesive. They kind of bring up the point where you see the film's antagonist really come into play, and it makes sense. But then Act 3 happens, and the movie just kind of like ends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just ends. Well, I feel like Sony lately with Venom 2 and this one, they're just kind of making it as quick as possible to try to get to the end credit scene to reveal some crazy thing that then doesn't
won't
mean
go
anything.
anywhere,
Yeah. I mean, you could do, or you do again, you need a coherent writers with this or a coherent plan, is you have those things baked into the movie throughout instead of just randomly dumping your post-credits scene into it. But we'll get that in a second.
I mean, Venom 2 kind of made sense.
Yeah, Venom 2's
It
made
did?
sense.
Yeah.
It did a better job.
And
at
it
that
was a great
than
surprise.
Morbius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's because I want to say Andy Serkis at least had some partnership with somebody going on. But man, like, again, there are callbacks and stuff to Venom, but I mean,
to what?
to Venom, like
No.
to Venom A,
No, you gotta say it properly.
to Venom.
Like Eminem.
Oh,
says
Eminem,
it.
Venom. No. So, I mean, you have callbacks to all this, like, vague San Francisco stuff. No mention of Spider-Man throughout the entire film. That's a minor
And
spoiler.
you got the Daily Bugle
Well,
and
there was
no bit of the trailer.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the trailer and throughout the movie, you're seeing Daily Bugle newspapers. You're seeing just a couple communications from, hey, Daily Bugle's alive. The movie takes place in
why?
New York City.
In the trailer, they also had a bit of the Daily Bugle and a little caption about Black Cat and Rhino, and apparently that wasn't in the movie either.
There were a lot of
Oh,
things
wow.
in the trailers that was not in the movie.
the Spider-Man poster.
The Toby Spider-Man
Toby-
poster.
yeah.
The director didn't even know about
Oscorp.
it.
Oscorp.
Oscorp was gone.
I don't remember
Yeah,
seeing
I think
Oscorp.
everything that had to do with
the other
any Spider-Man universe
They just
that was in
removed
the
it.
trailer that made everybody
Hyped.
interested to see what was going on in this movie is not in the movie. So
Exactly.
it's
The
not a
o-
spoiler. So
The
if you're
only
listening-
thing was the comics reference to the reference of Horizon Labs, which is in the comics. The only thing. But going into like kind of reeling it back into just it as a film, everybody. So I was gonna say everybody can talk about it, but you get to a point where the like most of the actors did their parts well. So like, all right, cool. You know, obviously Jared he's a good actor. Like, I'll go on record and say, if you can rein him in, Jared Leto's a good actor. So he did his
I think
stuff
so.
pretty well.
Debatable, but
I will respect the fact that it's debatable. Like, I think I've seen him in some other stuff that he's good at. Like,
he's kind of decent.
like you can't discount Dallas Buyers Club. Like, that was like, he won an Oscar for a reason for that. That was really good. There are people who don't like Blade Runner 2049, and those people are dumb. But I liked him in that. Yeah, I'll go on record. 2049 was great. It's a great film. There's great callbacks to Cowboy Bebop, like, dude, among other great things. But he did a good job. Matt Smith was like, you know, I don't want to say things for spoilers, but Matt Smith does things. Like, he's not just there as like, oh, randomly Matt Smith's here. But then there are people who are just very miscast, or like, hey, I really wish they would have done more with him. Like my boy Jared Harris, criminally underutilized. As like, he could have been the perfect, you know, center point between the two sides that Michael Morbius is in. And the trailer made it seem like that, but they took
that away.
They cut
took
that,
that away.
and they gave him really awful ADR in certain points. Anthony,
The movie was full of that.
whew, let's talk about that. Like, because from a technical standpoint,
So for me, the movie is just, it's just like frustrating. It's bland. That's what it is to me. It's bland. It seems like they wanted to make this movie in like 2001, where back then only like the first
With
X-Men
Tobey.
movie came out. I think Spider-Man came out 2002 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like when you watch the movie, you feel like it's like they learned nothing from the past 20 or so years of all these superhero movies that have been made. So just, yeah, they made a superhero / anti-hero movie. They made it. It's adequate. I mean, I can't make a movie like that. So, but the writing is pretty bad, and all that stuff just to get people in the seats of, hey, let's connect this with Spider-Man, and they just like
or
bamboozled.
Spider-Man.
They bamboozled everybody. And it's kind of messed up. But even if you take that out, the movie itself is just like, okay, cool.
I guess that's why the movie came out April 1st, because it was a joke.
Yeah, that somebody did that on purpose, because that's, I don't know, man. Yeah, like you said earlier, Tyrese and Al Madrigal as these two FBI agents. They're not cops. They're the FBI.
Yeah.
For some reason.
He didn't even say bring it. That's not a spoiler. The man didn't
He
say
should have
bring
said
it.
bring it. It would have made it better.
There's one scene where he just magically shows up on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
And
Yeah.
we're
Tyrese's
like,
character
Dude,
is
he's
superhuman.
he's
Like, he
super
just somehow
fast, apparently.
teleported.
Hi,
Yeah.
I need backup. We need to go to the roof.
They're shooting at him, and they're like, "Why are you shooting? We could just go up the stairs." But it's like
But he-
50
like-
flights of stairs.
It was. We all looked at each other when that came on screen, when he showed up on screen at the roof, and we're like, "What?"
No, the whole, like, I think it was us in a whole row, and Anthony in front of us, like, looking up, going, "How did he get up there?" So
Cotton Eye Joe, man.
He really was Cotton Eye Joe. Where did he come from? And then where did he go? Like,
I don't know, but slight spoiler: he's in front of Morbius, and Morbius is like, "All right, I guess I won't do anything else."
yeah. Well,
Like,
remember that was
I don't have OP powers.
no,
but-
because his blood thing was that's the way they justify his powers, or the fact that, like, when he consumes either artificial or real blood, he is, like, you know, heightened up superhuman. And to some of the, I guess, strengths of the film, I like the way that he jumped and moved. Like, they gave that kind of flowing motion to it. That was pretty dope. I'm not
it
gonna
was
lie.
cool.
Like,
The effect is cool, but then they also have the same effect for everything else that he does. So that was a little confusing. Like,
even,
it looks
the bat
cool when
radar,
he's
yeah, it was kind of
Turning
weird.
into bats and kind of like doing like the speed dash, like it's Castlevania or something like that.
Yeah,
But
I was like, is
it
he
looks cool.
Alucard?
Yeah,
Like,
it looks cool. But then it's like, okay, now he's gonna use the echolocation. Now everything has that
Yeah.
cloudy cool effect, and it's just like, so when does this? When is whatever?
right?
It's-
Yeah.
No
random
questions.
side note: shout out to Castlevania on Netflix. The show's amazing.
Just in general, the games
Or just
and
Castlevania,
anime,
the
yeah.
series. They're so good. But yeah, like, some of those effects were really cool. Just
and others weren't. It's
and others
very
really weren't.
strange. Very strange.
Again, we talk about ADR. So ADR is something they do for people who don't know about this. Is that, let's say,
Oh, I didn't get to that. Sorry.
yeah, like this when you need to redub over an actor's line because of maybe something in the background, or it's a shot that maybe there's a lot of outside noise, so you're able to kind of do that a bit, and you can't put a boom mic anywhere. And some of the ADR was hot garbage, like stuff. There was something that Jared Harris did, like his character, like he's breathing, but he's saying words. So like it looks like either someone is controlling him via ventriloquism or the ADR is a hot mess. I think what was there was another bit that was really bad.
There's the bit on the subway where they keep going back and forth for like an hour.
Oh yeah, Morbius is
between
running.
Morbius and Matt Smith.
He's running away. He's like, "I won't fight you," and like you see
off screen.
Yeah, like Jared Leto like turning away and not you moving his mouth. And it's just you're just like, what? Like it's enough for you to just see it and completely get thrown off. Like how Zach saw Belfast, and oh look, there's the reflection of the camera rig.
Well,
It's that glaring.
That didn't throw me off, but
I mean, I guess, but it's
But
noticeable.
once you see it, then
Yeah, you're like,
yeah,
oh,
once
you
see
can't
it,
unsee it.
yeah, you
really
can't
unsee
unsee it.
yeah.
Once you hear that, you can't unhear it. I mean, was it Adria Arjona? She did a good job. I like her in Good Omens, so I was like, oh, cool, she's in this, and she kind of just randomly turned into a love interest when it could have been, again, another way to describe, to kind of bring up, maybe to have this other example of going on one side or the other out here. Again, if you're on the live stream or you're on the video, you got Tyrese doing singing because he used to be a singer before he became an actor, before he went into space. Let's just say that.
Then after he went to space, then he became an FBI agent.
Right.
Who had a disability with an arm. And thank
Which
you,
they
Doc.
didn't show like anything about that. I think they just briefly mentioned it.
You
but in
saved
the
my life,
trailer,
Doc. That's
you
it.
See
Throwaway
his
line.
arm.
Like, make that a thing. Like, he has stuff on his arm. Like, again.
I heard that he's supposed to be another like known character from comics, and they just I guess did away
They
with
said
that
no.
completely.
Like, thank God. Because
It's just like those characters were useless. I think there happened.
even Al Madrigal, like
there
the
was-
other dude, he's just like, yeah, I brought holy water. And, like, there's
he
a
was
part- they're
trying to be
Plus
funny,
3
but it was like
times.
too fun. He was trying to be too funny, where everybody else was being serious. Like it was so strange.
Do you remember the part, Zach, where they're interrogating him and then he's having like the vampire compulsions, and like he had the holy water because he's supposed to be scared,
triple
but-
blessed. Triple blessed.
Mm-hmm.
but like yeah, he gets triple and he's having no reaction when he already like, oh, I had this holy water. Like, how is he not like? He had like all the composure out there, like after he just saying, "Oh, I'm just taking on my bases." Like
I feel
that's
like-
some
I mean,
BS.
maybe because he felt like, okay, he's handcuffed, he's not going to do much, but I
Or
don't know.
maybe because the scene was too cut into 3 different
I
takes
feel
and
like
mashed
either,
together like the whole third act of the movie.
I feel like towards the third act, either a lot of scenes were cut too much,
Mm-hmm.
or
They
they
did cut a
weren't
lot.
actually acting like either the same lines or like in front of each other almost.
Yeah.
I'm sure the movie would have been another 20, 30 minutes with all the stuff they cut out
I'd say maybe 20.
or edited or
On generous side 20, maybe 15, but
Yeah.
I guess
and,
the-
and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have made it better. It's just
No.
like it
No, it's
already
a
was
mess.
a mess.
yeah, like it's either they wrote themselves into a corner or the studio maybe meddled in a bit too much and just
Mhm.
messed it up,
Too
which
many
we all know.
cooks.
Or then didn't know what they wanted to do.
Too
with
many
the
cooks.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah, just to connect it, yes or not. Which brings us to our spoiler warning.
Spoilers.
Post credit scenes.
yeah.
Scenes or just scene?
No, it's 2.
Yeah, they're like back
Let's
to back.
just combine them.
Yeah, they should have been combined.
It's just
Yeah.
one big
and
scene.
and neither of them are post credits. There's one like right at
They're
the end of
2
the movie.
mid-credits.
Yeah, they're both.
They're both
Like
because
the
it was
beginning
the
of the-
movie, some credits,
It's
the
like-
scene, more credits, scene.
Entry
and then
credit,
the real credits
Yeah.
and
So
then a mid credit.
exactly.
and random credits too with the whole like I don't even know how to describe it
Like
like the
those
whole the
weird-
big M and
the
Yeah.
M that looked like
Means money.
something out of an A24 movie. Like it just
yeah
was very
yeah.
70s block lettering.
The one thing about the credit scene though is I did like Vulture's suit. It
because
That was the
Great
only
suit.
good
It's
thing.
the
like best
homecoming
part.
suit.
The home
Yeah.
it's the
It
homecoming
looked a little
Or
different.
like kind
It
of
looked a little
upgraded.
it's almost like the homecoming like high altitude suit because the one where he kind of holds himself in place. But yeah, Vulture shows up, and by Vulture we mean Adrian
Yeah,
Toomes.
Michael Keaton
So we don't
shows
know.
up out of nowhere in
They
a
just show the
jail
crack in the
cell
sky
Mhm.
because of
from
the
No
whole
Way Home.
No Way Home. But it's like the weird.
The
Yeah.
purple crack, right?
Yeah, it was a purple crack.
And it just doesn't make any sense.
And then Adrian Toomes he's in jail, and then he just phases into a white light, and then he materializes in the New York jail cell in Michael Morbius's universe. So
Doesn't seem
And what does he
surprised
say?
at all.
And what
At
does
all
he
that
say?
he's there.
and he's just like, oh, I hope this place has better food. I was like,
No,
are you
this
not
joint,
reacting?
This joint.
Sorry, this joint. The man does not react
Specifically.
to the fact that he's just in a
Where
completely
am
different
I?
place. Oh no, where are my wife and kids?
For
who
real.
obviously are living in Washington State, if I remember from Homecoming. But so that happens, and then the news. This whole thing of like this man claiming to be an Adrian Toomes just randomly showed up in jail, like
we're
in
gonna
prison
release
suit.
him.
We have to release him because we have no record of his existence for some dumb reason. And then end credit scene. Sorry, and then end that scene.
I mean, they could have just cut out that credit scene and just have the last one.
No.
Or
Yeah,
I don't know, but
they could have.
that
Oh, no,
made
it
more
would have been
sense.
the same amount of confusion. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it would've made
How did he
slightly
get
more
there?
sense.
No point.
Well, I mean,
of-
but their explanation of how he got there makes no sense. So
no, exactly.
it's the same
no,
thing.
No.
Yeah, because if they got that first part, then it's like, okay, how did he get there in the first place? But then still, yeah, with the first scene.
Get to the second one. Come on, Zach. Tell him about the second one.
I don't
Tell him
remember
about
what
the
he
second one.
I don't remember what he said.
It
though,
turns
because-
into Matthew McConaughey Lincoln commercial. Only it's Jared Leto
Driving a
in
Porsche.
a Porsche,
when
driving
he could fly.
right.
Yeah, the man
was
can
a
like
Porsche
glide
ad.
around and fly, but why fly when you can drive a Porsche? I guess a 911. So yeah, describe it. He's driving God knows where, right?
I think he was. I don't know if it was outside of Vegas or something. It was in the desert. He's driving. To this like desert hillside or whatever it was, and then you see Vulture coming, and then he kind of just stops and he mentioned something about Spider-Man.
I don't know why I'm here, but I think it has to do with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Something like that.
he's saying Spider-Man to Morbius like
As if-
Morbius is supposed to know who Spider-Man is
Right.
because in this universe technically we don't know who Spider-Man is if there even
Mhm.
is. I'm sure there is a Spider-Man, but we don't know
They haven't shown it.
who that Spider-Man is.
And then
So-
he's like, "Ooh, interesting."
He's like,
And
I'm interested.
He's like, hey,
Climb
you and I should keep in touch, and we could do a lot of good in this city, or something like that.
He says the word good. I'm like, wait, are you supposed to be
We
a
could do
villain or
some
what?
good. Like,
Yeah.
we should team up. We could do some good.
Good what? And then let's not get to the fact
But that was it. It was like 3 lines. You and I should team up. We could do some good. It's like,
why would Morbius should be like,
Interesting.
why? Yeah, he's like, I'm interested. It's like, why is he interested? I don't understand it. Like,
Yeah, it was.
like cool,
'Cause
Michael
so
Keaton,
if
give him
they're-
work. But
if they're
what the
planning
hell?
on doing a Sinister Six, so then it makes like the whole movie useless because then you're saying Morbius is a bad guy.
Yeah.
And also Toomes, like Toomes isn't really a crazy villain. He just was doing stuff, for his family. He did kill that one dude, but then he was
I
like,
think he did
"Oh,
it by
okay."
accident.
He did.
Yeah. He was
And
like,
then he
"Oh,
made a
okay."
joke about it.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
like,
like-
okay.
Yeah,
mean,
he killed the
You're the
he
new
killed
Shocker now. Yeah. Thing is, like Adrian Toomes did it because it's sort of like an FU to Tony Stark and FU to Damage Control to tell like, hey, like my livelihood, you're gonna ruin my livelihood, and so we're gonna go and pilfer and steal some stuff. And that makes me think because if he comes in with almost the same exact suit,
How does he have the armor?
Is
That
there
was
another
made out
Tinkerer?
of?
Where did it come
It was
from?
made out of
Again?
Chitauri tech from that universe.
or no, it's another Tinkerer. He's just like, hey, I remember all the blueprints from the back of my mind 100%. So, hey, Mr. Tinkerer, some palm to replay and make my other freaking Vulture flight suit. Which, let's get into another
nah,
example
nah.
of awful ADR.
Yeah. They purposely had the Vulture's mask on, so you don't even see Michael Keaton. So Michael Keaton probably came in for 2 hours to
like, a
record those 3
studio.
lines.
And the lines sounded really off. Like,
really bad.
there was like a bad echo effect.
Yeah.
Like,
He
they were
sounded
not,
older. It was weird.
it was not mixed well with the turbines of his suit. And like at this point, I'm like, did Michael like Mike and Morbius looks like he's all good. Like, hey, I had my blood for today. Like,
feel
there
like-
are too many questions.
I feel like
make
Morbius
sense.
even had a different, like, the scene where he was at was probably a different conversation, and then I feel like they threw in.
Yeah,
his
I'm
line
sure
in.
they did reshoots, even though this movie got delayed almost by 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's like you spent your
Not as much
time
as Top Gun, sure.
doing that. It's like this is crazy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how. I just don't know how the movie came out the way it did when it had
So much
that many
time.
delays and you had that much time to
Yeah.
fix anything.
And it's just, again, there are a lot of just decisions made in Act 3 that's just like, I don't know, I guess we just end the movie here. Like, that's just, that and the post-credit scenes are just an egregious error.
Did we even talk about the
No.
spell from Doctor Strange and how that shouldn't have worked the way that it worked?
Right.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned him coming, we didn't mention like the rule.
Well, the rule is
rules.
that Toombs doesn't know Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But he says, I
No,
think
yeah.
I'm here
But
because
I'm
of
here
Spider-Man.
because of this guy,
Okay,
rando
well, yeah,
Spider-Man.
because of the spell, then he
Yeah.
forgets.
But the spell
but that's not what I'm
returned
talking
everybody else to their respective timelines. So why would it take
about. Yeah.
him from that timeline and throw him into another
Yeah,
one?
because the rule of the spell is okay. Yeah, it brought people that knew Spider-Man into the MCU universe,
Mhm.
but then it's at the
then it
end.
kicks him out, too.
Now,
Okay,
Like,
yeah, now
well,
we're
it's-
taking this one person and taking him to
so
the
how
Sony
does that
universe.
even work?
It's just, Marvel was like, hey, we're use Spider-Man. We're not going to use the Vulture anymore, so you Sony people can have him, I guess. Like, that doesn't make sense. Which sucks, because then these next 3 supposedly Tom Holland films, like, who are you going to use for villains? You could have had a cool recurring thing, but then you don't want to use Michael Keaton as a recurring bit. That's like someone like Shocker, or, I mean, they still have Scorpion they could
Yeah, I
maybe
was gonna
use.
say Scorpion too.
I mean, and then there's the Craven movie coming out.
But
which
that's a Sony movie.
that's a Sony movie. So what, he's gonna play with Venom,
No,
Morbius, and
he's
and
gonna join
Vulture?
up and do good.
Yeah.
And he's gonna do
We
some
We could
good.
do some good.
That group is Vulture, Morbius, Venom,
And Venom's the anti-hero. He's not really a bad guy. So
Yeah.
like,
he's
who are
doing
you?
good.
But the
who are you
symbiote
getting
knows
to
who
be-
Spider-Man
so
is.
it's
but
not
does it now?
Sinister Six. It's gonna be like the Happy Six.
The-
Which
the
then ties into
Spider-Man's
the-
the villain, and the Sinister Six are the good guys.
That's how that should work. That's how like Suicide Squad should have been. Is like, hey, we're Suicide Squad and we're doing our thing. Oh wait, randomly the Joker is gonna show up somewhere and cause havoc, or it's Batman is coming in and like disrupting the plans for them to try to do stuff like that. Was it Assault on Arkham it was the animated movie. That's how that movie played out. It was the Suicide Squad,
And it
and then
was good?
Batman would show up a couple times, and yeah, it was really good. It was done really, really
It was
well.
pretty good.
So yeah, this movie, in and of itself, like Anthony said to me, is really just kind of average. But then when you try to tie it into this Sony Spider-Verse that they're trying to do,
it makes it even worse.
it's a hot mess.
A big
Should have been
entangled
its own
web.
thing.
It really just left a bad taste in my mouth because of that. That's the only thing people ended up talking about. Is like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Should
So
have been its own thing. Probably wouldn't have gotten that much hate. for
Maybe
the-
Yeah.
we'll see
Much
Andrew
vitriol.
Garfield. Andrew Garfield's going to be in that universe, and he's going to have to fight the Happy Six.
let's the do-gooder
The
six.
do-gooders.
The do-gooder six.
Andrew Garfield needs more villains, so why not give him some?
Exactly. He's like, I fought that again. They'll bring back Paul Giamatti, and he'll be a guy in a rhino suit.
Hopefully a better Rhino.
You're
suit.
right.
He's a metal rhino suit, guys, and his weirded best friend version of Harry Osborn. Dane DeHaan needs to do more stuff. Why not?